Hey Jonah, come up. Come on. Come on. Come and say hello. Come on. No? Come on. Hello everybody. Friday, September the 4th, I was trying to get Jonah to come and say hello, but he's shy. You gonna come up? No, I think he actually wants a treat. He's on the floor, and I was given these really nice treats by Tom Connolly. Thanks, Tom. And Jonah really likes them. They are happy hips, they're grilled strips, and they're healthy and they're good for him. Oh, there's Jonah. I don't know if you can see him, but anyway, he's taking his treat. He's back on the floor. Anyway, I'm also holding the bulletin here because I've been asked to mention something in it. So it's September the 4th, so we're coming to the end of the summer, and this weekend is Labor Day weekend, and it just made me think about September, back in my homeland, and growing up as a kid. And it's about this time, as we move into the fall, that in school we would have a harvest festival, and I'm sure you know what that means, when we would bring together the produce, and bring it before God, and we'd say thanks to God for everything that's been given to us from the earth, and we'd have a special school mass, and every family would bring in some food and we'd place it at the altar. What kind of tickles me as I think about it is that, we lived in the city, so we weren't farmers and we didn't grow much, so what we would bring really to the Harvest Festival was mainly canned food, Apart from the occasional bit of fresh fruit or vegetables, it was mainly canned food. And before the altar on this Harvest Festival, you'd see arrays, masses and masses of canned food, which would later then be donated to the local food pantry or to an orphanage that was close by. But it just made me laugh thinking about that we were giving thanks for the fruit of the earth, but the stuff that we ate mainly came out of cans. Anyway, here at Church of the Holy Spirit, during the month of September, as we move into fall, and we take, I suppose, awareness of it's harvest time and crops are coming in, we're going to be celebrating or marking in a special way what is known as the season of creation. And now that's an ecumenical kind of project which the Pope himself has initiated. And it starts this coming weekend and goes to October the 5th. And what it is a time when we reflect, I suppose, on how we are really caring and appreciating for the world that has been given us. Because the world in which we live is a gift. And if we don't care for it, then no matter how hard we try, we're not going to be able to produce the food that we need in order to feed ourselves and to feed our families. So it kind of ties in nicely with this notion of the fall and the harvest, but most importantly in these times, when we talk about global warming and climate change and the extreme weathers that we see, that really we probably don't take care of the earth in the way that we need to. We all maybe try with recycling and different efforts, but I think it probably goes much deeper and it's a much broader thing. But we do have to be careful. And so in the coming weeks, when you come to Mass, you'll probably notice some of the prayers will relate to that. Or maybe the priest may talk about it during his homily. And you'll see stuff in the bulletin, and you'll see stuff on the website which talks about the season of creation. And we're observing that during the next 5 weeks here at Church of the Holy Spirit. And I hope you take a moment just to reflect and think, well, am I really caring for the earth that has been given to me? Am I being a good steward of the earth? Am I being a good steward of creation? And I'm not sure really how the statistics are in our own country here, but in my homeland back in Great Britain, I heard on the news the other day that the crops of wheat this coming year are going to be so depleted because of climate change or extreme weathers that the price of bread will go up. See what I mean? How it impacts everybody. That with the extreme weather that they've had there, the crop and the harvest will fail to a degree, and therefore the price of bread will go up. It affects us all. So the season of creation here at Church of the Holy Spirit this year, okay? And as I'm talking to you, so Jonah is talking to me, and he's asking for another treat. So you're going to come and say hello? You're going to come and say hi? Come on then. Come and say hello. Eventually he has to come on camera, okay? You say hello to the people. He's had his treat and he's happy. He's had his walk. He's a happy dog, okay? I'll put you down now. Anyway, the other couple of items I wanted to talk to you about today, which I referred to last week, was two Welsh saints. We were talking about the saints last week. So two Welsh saints from my homeland, two patron saints of the nation of Wales in the United Kingdom. And the first up is the main patron, which is Saint David of Wales, okay? And he's a saint which goes back to the 6th century, in Wales. And he was a founder of monasteries in the south of Wales, southwest of Wales, in an area called Menwy or Menevia. And like in the southwest corner of Wales, he founded a monastery and lived a very holy life there, and gathered other men to live with him. And they practiced what they call asceticism, which was really trying to sort of become spiritually united with God in prayer, but through very hard practices by living a life of extreme austerity. So like taking freezing cold baths, or only eating bread and water, and living a very strict observance. But that was St. David of Wales, and he was known for his eloquence, for his ability to speak, and in one important council, synod in Wales, during his time when he was a leader there, as he was gathered and he started to talk, so they say, the legend says, as he spoke so eloquently, so the land beneath him rose up, and it lifted him up on top of a hill over everybody else, and a little white dove rested on his shoulder. And they say that that was the sign really of that he was a true leader, and they named him the Archbishop as a result of that. And often if you see him in iconography now, you'll see a little white dove on his shoulder from that very reason. But he was a holy man, and he died on March the 1st, and ever since then March 1st has been known as St. David's Day, and it's the national celebration of Wales as a country. And most people you will find in Wales on that day will be wearing either a daffodil, a yellow daffodil, which is a national symbol of the country, or a leek, a vegetable leek, actually pinned to their lapel. There's another story to that, but we'll talk about it another time. But St. David was very important and a very inspiring person in terms of like Christian practices way back. And as he died, he said some important words, which are almost like his signature really, and most people in Wales would know them. And the words are, be joyful, keep the faith. Be joyful, keep the faith. And he said, try to do the little things that you have heard or seen me do. Be joyful, keep the faith. Try to do the little things you've seen or heard me do. Very inspiring person. And he is the national patron of Wales, St. David, one of the Celtic saints. So if you think of Wales as like being a rectangle, which is like added on to England, it sticks out, if you like, into the Irish Sea. So St. David was like the southwest corner, and then if you go to the northeast corner of Wales, that's where we have an important little place called Holywell, or Tryfynon in Welsh. And the other saint I wanted to talk to you about, really sort of like settled around that place, and her name is Saint Winifred. And up in Tryfynon is a holy well named after her, St. Winifred's Well. Now, she was like a 7th century saint, so really going back way when, sort of, it was very, very old. And she was promised, if you like, to one of the local kind of noblemen whose name was Caradog. And he was a bit pushy, he was a bit pushy, and she was very, very devout in her faith and practice of the faith. And he wanted to marry her, and she said no, and she ran off, and she joined a convent, became a nun. And he was so incensed, so mad, because he thought he had a right to her. What did he do? He chopped off her head. He beheaded her. And it is said, you see, that her head fell off and it dropped to the floor, and where it hit the ground, a spring of water came up. And that is the place where the Holy Well is founded to this day. However, the story doesn't end there, because she was a virgin and a martyr. However, her uncle, Saint Bino, who was important to monasticism in Wales back in the time, he, through great faith or a miracle, managed to bring her head back to her body and fix her and resurrect her. And she came back to life. And she continued as a nun, and in a very devout way, and she became an abbess of a local monastery. So that is Saint Winifred, the other patron of Wales. But the place where the head hit the floor, okay, is where the spring of water came up. And to this day, you can go to Holywell. The town is called Holywell for obvious reasons, and the place is St. Winifred's Well, and it's a place of great devotion and pilgrimage, and a place where you can take your aches and pains and all the areas in which hurt, and you can bathe yourself in the holy waters, and it's quite possible that miracles do happen. It is said that St. Bino sort of said, anyone who comes here and bathes themselves 3 times and prays for the intercession of Saint Winifred, if it is good for the person's soul, then the graces of healing will be granted. Okay, so my friend, back in England now, he's a pastor in a parish over there. Some years ago, he had trouble with his knees, and they wanted to operate and do something with the cartilage, or give him a new cartilage, and he was resistant to having the operation. However, during his travels one day, and he came through Wales, he decided to stop at Holywell, and he said a prayer to St. Winifred, and he put his leg in the water. And to this day, any trouble with his knee has ceased. And he puts that healing down to the intercession of St. Winifred, patron saint of Wales. In Welsh, her name is Gwenfrwy, but more commonly known in English as Winifred, from which derives the name Winnie. My new niece, her name is Winnie, and she lives in London, and my youngest brother's child. So anyway, that's the 2 Welsh saints I wanted to mention to you today. St. David, okay, of Wales, and St. Winifred of Wales. And don't forget, the Holy Well is a good place to visit, and go and bathe your legs or bathe your arms and receive healing through her intercession. Finally today, I've been asked to draw your attention to, we have a Food and Live Music Fest, which is coming up here in our parish on September the 19th. And you may know what that is. We're having a drive-in sort of food and music fest. You can drive your car into the parking lot, and you can buy food from the food truck, and there will be live music from a band here in the parking lot. And that's Saturday, September the 19th. Beginning at 6 o'clock in the evening, or after the 5 o'clock Mass here, until 8:30 in the evening. I know that everybody in Church of the Holy Spirit has been missing like the social gatherings, especially like you have the Family Fest in the summer, and we're sorry that we're not being able to do that, but these little occasions which we're organising for you are an opportunity, if you in some ways, to make up for what has been missed over these last months of lockdown, and certainly missing the Family Fest this year. So I hope you can join us for the Family Fest, for the Live Music Fest on September the 19th. Okay, so in the meantime, be well. I know it's Labor Day weekend. Have a good Labor Day weekend, and look forward to seeing as many of you as possible at Mass this coming weekend. And if not, I'll see you here again next Friday. In the meantime, stay well, or as St. David would say, be joyful, keep the faith. Cheers. Bye.